again, just to let you all know, this will be recorded today, so that we can share this afterwards. Thank you for joining us today. So this is the first of a series of webinars on the digital research infrastructure. So the series will showcase digital research infrastructure projects in communities in the UK and beyond. Join us to learn about state-of-the-art initiatives that aim to advance research tools and techniques, foster collaboration and data sharing, and accelerate discoveries across a range of academic disciplines and sectors. So just to tell you a bit about us, my name's Al Wood. I'm the Marketing Communications Specialist at the Digital Curation Centre. We're going to be hosting this series of digital research infrastructure webinars. So the Digital Curation Centre, or DCC, is an internationally recognised centre of expertise in digital curation, research, data management, and open science based in Scotland. We were established in 2004 with the aim of helping organizations worldwide make the best use of data for research, development, and operations in all contexts, be that academic, industry, or government. Our team provide expert advice and practical assistance in storing, managing, protecting, and sharing digital data and obtaining the best value from it. So as you can see from the slide, our services include our DMP online data management platform, our International Journal of Digital Curation, our International Digital Curation Conference this year hosted in Zagreb in a couple of weeks, as well as a tailored training and consultancy that we offer as well. So that's just a bit about us. So to get started, because we do have an audience from around the world, according to our registrations anyway, we'd like to know a bit about who's joining us today. So I'm just going to swap over to our WooClap. It's just a questionnaire platform just to find out a bit about who you guys are. So if you have a mobile device, please do scan the QR code. This will allow you to come into the WooClap to answer a few of the questions. We'll be using this later again to get a gauge on how you found the information today. So if you do have a handheld device, scan the QR code. If you would like to use your laptop or desktop device, simply type in wooclap.com and enter the event code ECENLE. So just give it a second or so, just to let a few more of you join us. We've got 16 of us in the room so far. And again, if one of my colleagues on the call could just drop that information into the chat so that we can go forward with the WooClap. So first of all, where are you calling in from? What country? It's always great to see our webinars well represented. So we've hosted a series of fair impact calls start of the year and last year as well. So we have a well-represented group. So I can see we've got a heavy focus on the UK and Ireland. So great to see that. Unsurprising, given our topic today. But we do always like to see where you are calling in from. So yes, thank you for that. So the DCC, we're based in Edinburgh largely, with a few colleagues in Glasgow as well. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Portugal. Okay, so we have someone else from outside of the UK and Ireland. But yeah, you're all very welcome. Okay, I'll just move on to the next question. So just a bit about who you are. What is your job title? Always good to see in these webinars who is joining us. So where are you from and what is your job title? Just to give us some information on who's going to be in the room with us and kind of set the context for what we're going to be talking about today. Okay, so we've got a lot of research-orientated roles. Excellent to see that. Librarian, steward, program policy manager, head of open science. So a lot of people working within research, which is again, great to see that. But we can see a few different roles as well. So I will leave that open for you to complete and continue to enter. But conscious of time, I'd like to hand over to Sophie Robson from UKRI. I can see you on the call, Sophie. If you'd like to unmute yourself.
Thanks, Al.
Perfect. Hi, Sophie. I'll hand over to you.
Thanks, Al. Welcome, everyone. And thank you very much to the DCC team for inviting us today. I'm Sophie. I'm a senior portfolio manager in the UKRI DRI team. I'm actually stepping in for Kay Young today, who's our interim head of the DRI program, but she couldn't be here today. So if at the end of the webinar you've got any questions for me and about the DRI program, I'll do my best to answer them, but I might have to take some back to the team. I've been invited by DCC to provide a bit of context and overview of what the DRI program does, in order to provide you with some context, because you're going to hear from one of our investments, PSDI. If I could get the next slide, please. Thanks. So the UKRI DRI program supports the UK's goal of building a strong, connected, and sustainable digital research system. The program's aim is to develop a state-of-the-art national digital research infrastructure that seamlessly connects researchers and innovators to the computer, data, tools, techniques, and skills that they most need, and that underpin the most ambitious and creative research. The DRI program is truly a cross-UKRI endeavour. We work really closely with all of the various councils across UKRI to create a federated, interoperable and interdisciplinary portfolio of DRIs. Next slide, please. Through various consultations with the community over the years, as well as continued collaboration and discussion across UKRI, as well as external experts, we've identified 4 key priorities, which sort of guide all of the efforts that we work towards in the DRI programme. So the first one of these is human DRI. We understand that DRI starts with the people that build, maintain, and upgrade it. We recognise their crucial role within DRI, promoting their careers and supporting their professional development. By doing this, we aim to foster a creative and supportive culture that ensures skilled and diverse DRI workforce. Our second priority is interconnected DRI. So we aim to enable transformative research and innovation through collaboration that delivers a strong economy and effective public services. The third priority is fair DRI, so we ensure that research infrastructure is easily accessible, interoperable, and reusable by driving adoption of the FAIR principles. And our last priority is sustainable DRI. So we focus on ensuring the long-term health of DRI by addressing efficiency, security, and environmental and financial challenges to create a sustainable DRI ecosystem. And I should say that while these priorities are distinct, we recognise there's a lot of overlap between them, and we try to consider how these priorities work together to best enhance the DRI and deliver best research solutions for the research community. Next slide, please. So what does this mean in practice, and what do we invest in? So the DRI programme currently funds over 30 active projects, and it's a really diverse portfolio, actually. It spans new infrastructures, there's major upgrades and transformative developments, to scoping and design studies, and to really small pilot projects. The programme's not also diverse in the project types, but also in the disciplines that it supports. And it can kind of be categorized into 4 main areas that you see on the slide. So the first one is compute ecosystems. So we provide funding for things like Isambard 3, which is an ARM-based supercomputer hosted at the Bristol and Bath Science Park. One of the other areas is research software. So we provide funding to the Software Sustainability Institute, if anyone's familiar with that. The third area is federation and underpinning tools and techniques. So one of the places that we provide funding to is a Network Plus looking at digital research technical professionals. So it looks at how we can enhance the skills and career development and leadership of DRTPs across the UK. And the 4th main area that we invest in is data infrastructure. And you're going to hear from one of our investments today, PSDI. So there's a QR code on the screen. If you follow that, you'll come to the UKRI website, and there's a list of all of the DRI program investments on there. Hopefully that gives you a sort of a whistle-stop tour of what the DRI program is and some of the key priority areas for us, as well as some of the investments. And I'll hand back to you, NCC.
Thanks, Sophie. Really useful to get some context ahead of what is going to be a very interesting talk around PSDI. So without further ado, I'll stop sharing my screen and hand over to Dr. Keris Willoughby. She's a senior research fellow at the School of Chemical Engineering at Southampton University and is a big part of the PSDI project. Keris.
Okay, thank you everybody for coming along. Can you see my slides?
We can, yes.
Excellent stuff. Okay, so thank you for the introduction, and thank you for Sophie. So as you will find out, the DRI is very important in the funding of PSDI. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is just a brief introduction to what we are, what we provide, and then I'm going to go into a deeper dive about some of the resources that we provide, and then tell you a little bit about what's coming up. So if you're interested in getting more involved, we run events all of the time, and you can get involved in some of those. Okay, so what is PSDI? So we are a project that's funded by the UKRI DRI program via EPSRC. And we've developed out of a community statement of needs. So at the very beginning of our sort of generation, we went to the community to try and find out what the problems were and what was needed and tried to build around those kinds of things. PSDI is kind of a joint venture between the University of Southampton and the Science and Technology Facilities Council. And we work together and have slightly different roles. And you can find out more about us on our website, psdi.ac.uk. So what's the point in PSDI? So physical sciences data infrastructure is what we're building. So within the UK, there are various different domains, disciplinary domains that already have their kind of own infrastructure, particularly when it comes to repositories for where data should be put. And across the world, there are various infrastructures that are kind of cousin infrastructures to us. So in particular, the German National Research Data Infrastructure, NFDI for Chem, is very much a kind of cousin project to us. So this is a data infrastructure set up for chemistry. So what we're covering is looking at chemistry, materials, and related disciplines. Chemistry very much feeds into other disciplines as well. So we're interfacing with related disciplines like life sciences, medical, engineering, and environmental sciences as well. And we're trying to interface with international as well as UK-based provisions. So why are we here? What problems are we trying to solve? So particularly in physical sciences, there's not a long history of sharing data. So there's data available, but it's not necessarily accessible. There aren't very good standards, or there's a limited number of standards. And so the data that is available isn't very fair. It's very difficult to reuse it in a useful way. And it's quite often locked away in proprietary formats that mean it's very difficult for people, even at an individual level, let alone a sort of UK level, to take that data and use it somewhere else. So even transferring from one piece of software to another, the data doesn't really work very well. There's a lack of metadata and provenance, so it's difficult to work out where it's all come from. And there are costs associated with storing it. So data tends to sit on people's machines, not to be openly available for other people. There's lots of technology. Organizations tend to have their own kind of setups, but there's no way of really interacting with those and accessing that information very easily, the data very easily. As I say, there are many different kinds of standards, but actually not very many that have been adopted by the community at all. And so we have problems with selecting the right standards to use. And there's a lot of complexity around that. People is a big thing. So as I say, there are some areas in physical sciences where there is good practice because it's long established, but generally outside of those very small number of areas, the sharing is quite bad. And people, where they do share, don't necessarily have the knowledge and understanding to share the information in a fair manner. And there's a lack of skills around data management and sharing in general. We need lots of data stewards. And it costs, it's all time that people have to expend. So we want to make these things easier. So the aim is to connect existing infrastructure. So we have lots of experimental and computational facilities that already exist. We want to connect with those things. We want to build the connections, and we want to support people. So we want to be able to provide access to people. We want to give them tools that mean they can transform and manipulate their data and use it. And also to make sure that where we have data collections that are useful and interesting, that they're safe, they can be used by people after the end of the project. So we have a number of diverse partners that we work with that have been driving the requirements. So in the first stages, we've looked at trying to find partners in particular community domains, particular disciplinary domains, to help find out the problems in those areas and to build up tools and data sets that reflect those areas. We're also aware that data isn't just something that happens at the end of the project lifecycle or the research lifecycle. This is something that needs to happen all of the way through. So we also are working with people at different stages of the research lifecycle, the data lifecycle, to make sure that we're helping to develop the right skills in people, to develop the right tools so that we're capturing data, we're planning for it properly, and then we're sharing it, making it structured in a fair manner, and then making it available so it can be reused, particularly for things like machine learning and AI. And we're growing our partners all of the time. We're looking out to bigger domains. So one of the things with physical sciences is that there's little pockets of things. It's not like it's very heterogeneous. There are lots and lots of different areas, lots of different problems, lots of different data, lots of different formats. And so we're looking to build those partnerships in different areas. So to bring on new kinds of data, to develop new tools, and to particularly looking at how can AI be used to help with the data to make predictions, do patterns, but also giving access to the data. So what does PSDI provide? So this is a very high level overview, and then I'm going to dive deeper into some of the different things. So on the one hand, there is the data and there is the technology. And on the other hand, there is kind of like the more people, more support side of things. So data services are web-based tools. So the idea is that you can go online, you can do something with data. So for example, you can transform it into a different format. Or you can do other various things. We have data tools, and the idea with these is that there's something you can download and include within your own workflows. So you don't have to, people can be very sensitive about uploading data to the internet. This means you can bring things down and actually do good things on your own infrastructure. Access to data sources is very important. So for physical sciences, getting access to good reference data is really important, and I'll describe that in more detail. And then we have our guidance, training, and case studies. So what we're trying to do is provide support for the community. So giving them guidance on how they can improve their data processes, how they work with data, how they organize their data, training, and that's both in person and sort of self-paced online, and also case studies. So what we've repeatedly had the community say to us is they want to understand how they can use technologies to solve their particular problems. So we're doing case studies, writing them up, so to help people to understand how particular technologies can be used to address data problems that are relevant to the community. So community and collaboration. So I talked about the three different sort of aspects, and people is one of the most important parts. So interacting with people is very important. So on the community side, we do a lot of events where we actually get input from the community. So we're going out and providing some guidance, some education, but we're also trying to get input, understand what people's problems are, how we can support them. And on the collaboration side, we're working with other organisations to develop these various resources, but also to look at things like how do we develop standards, how do we improve processes, how do we actually change research behaviour, and how do we help the people that support the researchers. Okay, so deeper dive. So access to data is a very big part of what PSDI does. And there's a variety of different kinds of data in different ways that they're accessible. So as I mentioned, it's very important for researchers that they have access to good quality data. And we provide access to over 30 different data sources. the vast majority of the data sources that we give access to are open, but some of them are licensed data sources. So for UK academics, we provide that data for you. So you have to be logged in for that, but it means you can get access to this data that otherwise you'd have to pay for. I'll talk a bit more about our community data collections. So I talked about case studies. We've created some data that's associated with those case studies, and I'll talk a bit more about those later. The vast majority of the data sources we provide access to, you can access through our cross data search service. So this is something that's quite unique. So I'll go into a little bit more detail about this. So if you're familiar with chemistry, you'll know that it's not as simple as typing something into Google in order to get access to your data. There is lots of complexity involved with it, and the kind of information you're looking for, you require ways of searching for that in a different way. And the cross data search allows you to do these different kinds of searches across all of the data sources that we provide access to at the same time. So you can get access to lots of different data at the same time. So you can choose whether you want to search for individual databases, just selections of them, or whether you want to search for absolutely everything we have. Not every database holds the same kind of information, so you'll get different results back, but it will be sensible results based on what you searched for. And we also provide alternative ways. So it's not just typing into a text box. If, for example, you're interested in materials information, you tend to be looking at elements on the periodic table and ratios of those elements together. So we provide an interactive way that you can make those selections. If you're interested in molecules and structures and you want to search in that way, then we provide a tool that you can use to create a picture, which is very familiar to chemists to do, of the molecule that they're looking for, and then to use that information within the search. And we also allow you to do things like you can search for publication references in ways that you'd be familiar with if you like using like a library service. And also, if you're running experiments, it's useful to be able to search for chemicals that you might use in your experiments. So we also have a product availability search that will help you to find providers that can supply you with the products that you're looking for. So this is an example of some of the results data that can come back from the cross-data search. So as I said, it depends on the particular database, what fields are in there as to exactly what data will come back. But there's lots of really useful information, and it displays it in a way that's appropriate to the information that's coming back to you. And there are various actions you can also perform with that. So as well as being able to see the data and use it to reference against what you're looking at, you can also do other things, like you can visualize it for some of the databases. You can export the data, you can go look at it in its original data source, you can favorite your results so you can come back to them later. And there are also some more interesting advanced functions that are on the way, where because we have access to these data sources all in one place, is you can do, when you have found a result in one database, you can actually go look up information that's related to that result in a different one. So there's some really interesting things that we're starting to be able to do. So we're building up on the functionality that we're providing all of the time. So community data collection. So what PSDI doesn't do is provide a sort of free-for-all repository. So it's not a case that you can sort of send us all of your individual bits of data, but what we are interested in doing is creating a repository of interesting collections of data that are useful to particular communities. So at the moment we've got these two communities and data sets that they're providing. So these communities, they are encouraging the people in that community to deposit their data with us, and then they also curate that data within the community. So they make sure that it has all of the metadata that is useful for those particular communities. So we've got the biosimulation community and the data to knowledge, which is machine learned interatomic potentials. I probably messed that up, but yes. So that for that community, this is a really, really useful resource. So we're also adding new communities to that as we go. So some of our partners will be data collections that are hosted in that same community. Okay, so an example of one of the services that we provide that is probably applicable to almost everybody out there that's working with physical sciences data is the data conversion service. So I mentioned that one of the key problems that we have is that data from one piece of software or from an instrument or going into a repository, they're all different formats, and you need to be able to get from one format to another, but it's not very easy to do that. So there are tools that are out there on the web in various places. What we've done is to bring them all together in one service. So the idea with this service is that you select the format that you're transferring from, and then the one that you want it to transform into, and you upload your data. So you can select format from and the converting to, but it's important to understand that when you do that conversion, that not every time is it going to be 100% accurate. So sometimes information is going to be lost or maybe sort of changed in a way that's undesirable. So a particular benefit of this tool as well is that it provides information about how good the conversion is. So you can make a decision about whether this is something that is suitable for you to use, so whether you can kind of trust it or not. And there are hundreds of different conversion options in there. We're also interested in sort of getting feedback from people on this. So if there's something that you really need to be able to convert for your physical sciences data, then tell us about it and we'll see if we can do something about it to make it better. So as well as the online data conversion service, we also have a variety of different downloadable options for this. So this means that you can, rather than having to upload your data to the server, so if you don't want to do that, there might be various reasons why you don't, you can take these and use them within your own workflows and with your own processes. Okay, so another aspect, I talked about the guidance that we provide. So one of the things that we have is the PSDI knowledge base, and this provides access to various different kinds of information, and I'll go into depth about some of them a bit more. So guidance and documentation. So this is where we're providing guidance around data, so particular data topics. And also documentation about how to use various PSDI resources. So for example, there's some topics in there about how you can use the cross data search or what the different options for the data conversion are. We also have an IT support section. We're dealing with technology. Nothing is perfect. There's always going to be problems. So how do you get help if something's gone wrong, or frequently asked questions, that kind of thing. And then there's training section that provides access to training in various parts. And I'll talk a bit more about each of those. Okay, so the guidance materials, as I say, we have some documentation in there. So it's a PSDI resources section that has documentation for how you use various things that PSDI provides. But we also have things around research data management, about sharing data and FAIR. So this has useful things in there, like an example, data management plan for physical sciences, or how to choose a repository with some repositories, links to them and descriptions of them for the physical sciences. So the idea with this is it's not sort of a regurgitation of all of the things that are out there in the world already. It's trying to tailor these things for the physical sciences community. We also have topics on digital notebooks and how you might go about selecting those, defining what your requirements are, how we use metadata in PSDI, and I'll talk about case studies a bit later. So this is a starting set of guidance for our community, so for researchers and also those who support them. And we're hoping that we're going to have the community sort of help us build this over time as well. Okay, so various training. So the knowledge base provides sort of access to it, but the training is in all kinds of different places. So we have some self-paced learning resources, skills for scientists. I'll talk to you a little bit more in a moment. But we also have some self-paced learning resources like Galaxy RO crates, how to use and create those. We have tutorials, so that's kind of step by step, working through something. We regularly run webinars, so usually once a month or more often, and all of those are also here. So if you want to go back and look at a video that's been done on a whole variety of different topics that are related to PSDI and related technologies, you can access those through the knowledge base. Okay, so skills for scientists. So this is a set of resources that are hosted on Moodle. So these are self-paced learning courses, and they cover a variety of different things that are relevant to research community and those who support them. So there are kind of more technology based, like version controlled databases, Python, command line, those kinds of things. But there's also more data, sort of data management, more research side of things, like literature, research ethics, and so on. So a variety of courses. And again, this might be something that we add to over time, and maybe people in the community might be interested in creating some resources for this. Okay, so I've mentioned case studies quite a few times. So as I say, the community, we know the community is interested in understanding how you solve problems. That's what all of this is about in the end. And so what we're trying to do is to document some of these, how we go about doing things. So data, as I've mentioned, isn't necessarily always in a nicely formatted in a repository. Sometimes it's hidden away within the supplementary information in papers. Sometimes it's in books and things like that. So, and sometimes it's in databases that haven't been touched for 10 years and on a CD somewhere. So these top two are looking at how you go, how we've actually been able to go and extract that data from different places to bring it back to life. And it talks about how that was done, but also that data that's been recovered is also accessible through PSDI. We've got one that's on the way, which is our experiences of using OneNote as an electronic laboratory notebook as part of our undergraduate chemistry teaching program, and our experiences with that, the sort of issues that we ran into, how we set things up, why we chose to do things in a particular way. So keep an eye out for that one. We also, as well as the things that you can access through the website and the knowledge base, we have a Zenodo community, and a lot of the various things, particularly things like talks, but also data related case studies, and sorry, I was put off by something flashing on my screen. And also we have some sort of guidance materials that are available on there as well. So this is a place where there's extra information. So many of the reports and things that we produce also appear on our Zenodo community. So that's something you can have a look at as well. Okay, so I talked about online kind of training you can get access, but we also do a lot of things that are in person. So we do, as I say, we do regular online webinars that you can join, and the recordings of those go on YouTube, but we also run various events, workshops, schools, and other events that are in person. So some of those are training, some of those are about trying to gather feedback and having a dialogue with the community, defining standards, those kinds of things. So you can find out more about those from the events page on our website, and there's also a little bit of information in the knowledge base about previous events that we've run. So as I've said a couple of times now, PSDI, so yes, we're data, yes, we're technology, but we're also very much people. And we think that it's extremely important to engage with the community, that we're developing tools to help the community, but we're also trying to change the way practice in general. So to encourage people to be better at doing data, to share their data, to structure it properly. And that involves a lot of different kind of activities. And we're working, let's say, not just with researchers, but the people that support them. So data stewards, librarians, repository managers, all of those kinds of different people. And we are also working with the international community, so the UK and the international community as well, to kind of understand where everything fits in, to get these standards into place, and to share, because we're all trying to sort of work towards the same goal, really. So if you're interested in getting involved with PSDI, we are really interested to hear about communities that have particular problems, that may have developed resources that help solve that, or they've got an idea about how to solve it. If you're interested in co-running events, and particularly about how we go about building communities. So we know that there's many people out there that we need to reach and to sort of talk to, and we want to do that. We want to build those communities so we can understand the problems and help sort of solve them and build the solutions around it, whether it's technology, whether it's standards, whether it's education, whatever it is, we want to do that. So some things that are coming up for PSDI that you can get involved with. So on Thursday, the 26th of February, we have our next webinar, which is all about so it's using AI to get data that's stuck in static literature, notebooks, patents, and so on, and turn it into data that can be used and useful for AI. I imagine that's going to be a really interesting talk. Sam is going to be a great presenter, so that should be a really interesting one. And then on the 12th of March, we have an online workshop about electronic research notebooks. So this is where we have a number of people who have implemented, deployed electronic research notebooks. They've gone through the process and they're going to share their experiences, but there's also opportunity for discussion. So we want to hear from people, whatever discipline they're from. So this is not a physical sciences specific, this is anybody that's interested in electronic research notebooks. We want to hear from them, hear what their problems are, hear what their experiences are, and get involved in that. So that's something again. So you can go to our website, psdi.ac.uk/events, and you'll see those there, and there'll be links to sign up to them. Okay, that was a lot of content very rapidly. If you want to know more about PSDI, do visit our website, do have a poke around, look at the different things that we provide. We've tried to make it easy to sort of explore what we have and what we do. We are on social media. LinkedIn is where we're sort of most active, but if you want to get regular updates, please join our mailing list. And I think that's me. Thank you very much for listening to me.
That's great. Thank you very much, Keris. That's really informative. I think we'll leave the slide on for a couple of minutes, so that if anyone does want to scan the QR code or follow PSDI across any of their various social media channels, they're able to. I did see a hand go up, and at this point we are going to the Q&A section of the webinar. So if anyone does have any questions, I can't see any in the chat currently, but if you do have a question, please either enter that in the chat function or simply unmute yourself. You're welcome to put your video on to ask any questions about what we've learned about today. I think I'll start with Joy, as I can see your hand raised first, and then anyone else following that, please do raise your hand or enter your questions in the chat. Joy.
Yeah, thanks very much, Keris. That was a really great overview of the research infrastructure as a whole. It was great to see that you're putting so much emphasis on the people side as well as the technology side. And it was great to see that there's domain-specific resources out there, because we hear that a lot from the community, that people want something that is specific to the domain. So it's great to be able to signpost people to these resources. The one question I did have was just whether there are any restrictions on who is able to access the tools. They look like they're all openly available, but I just wanted to double check. Are there any kind of restrictions or?
Almost everything is open access. Almost everything can be accessed. Most things can be accessed without logging on at all. There are some things that do require you to log on. A couple of examples. So one of the data sources, the Cambridge Structural Database, that one you have to be logged in and you have to be a UK academic because it's a licensed data source. So to search that one, you just have to log in as a UK academic. The data conversion service, you will be asked to log in to use that to upload the data, and this is just a sort of a protection thing to, make sure that nobody's doing anything nefarious, that kind of thing. So there are some things that you'll be asked to log in because there might be restrictions. So one of the things, so Sam, who's going to do the next webinar, runs a company called Data Revival. So this company, they take paper notebooks and they convert them into this really useful data using AI. And you can try that out. So you can upload some images of your notebook, but it's kind of like restricted to a certain number a day so that you're not sort of uploading your entire sort of 20-year collection of notebooks. So the vast majority of things are open and you don't even need to log on. There are some things you need to log on for various reasons. But yeah, there's just a couple of the data sources that are restricted to UK academics.
That's great. Thank you for that. Any other questions at this point? Martin. Welcome.
Yeah, hello there. Hi. Oh, yes. So we've just stopped using workplace Zoom, so I'm having to get used to the browser environment. I was interested to know with the cross data search, given the kind of the specialized nature of the searches, are you seeing the kind of almost denial of service attack kind of slowing down of the services that kind of standard repositories are getting from being swamped with AI crawler bots? Now, basically, I guess my question is, what's the resilience of the cross data search?
So I can't speak specifically to that. So I have not heard any chatter about that being an issue on the cross data search. So we do capture analytics and we are trying to kind of work out, what is an AI and what is a real person. It's sort of early days for us, I think. But yeah, I am certain that these are issues that are on the mind of the developers, is what I would say. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Martin. Any other questions at all from the room at this point? Okay, well, I can't see any questions at the moment. We do have a final WooClap as well as information about the next webinar as well. But if you do have any questions between that last WooClap question, please do pop your hand up or pop your message into the chat, and we can certainly come to that as well. So I'll just share my screen so that we can look at the final question. So as I mentioned at the beginning of this webinar, this is going to be a series looking at digital research infrastructures. So what we'd like to get an idea every time we do welcome a guest onto the webinar series is to just see, do you have a better understanding of where we are right now? There is a prerequisite question that I forgot to share, which is all around what you do know, so apologies for that. But it's just good to know what we did learn from this as well. Thank you, Joy, for sharing that in the chat as well. So there's a link to WooClap with the code in there as well that you can type in. Simply type in wooclap.com and then enter the code ECENLE. And you can just simply push in your response there as well. So it's good that a lot of people have a better understanding of that as well. I'll just give that another minute or so that people can click on that. Yeah, if you are having issues with their WooClap, I did move through a couple of questions, so you just need to refresh your screen. Hopefully that'll work to bring you onto the question that we're looking at answering now. What I'll do is I'll just going to leave that question open, so on your devices you'll still be able to answer that. But I'll just move on to the closing aspect of this webinar. So if we do have any questions, please let us know now. Otherwise, you're welcome to email us at info@dcc.ac.uk. We will pass any and all questions onto our colleagues at PSDI and UKRI, and we'll do our best to get those answers over to you as well. So as I mentioned, there will be more in the series about digital research infrastructures. The next webinar is going to be looking at Biofair. So Biofair is another UKRI funded federated digital research infrastructure. It provides end-to-end fair research data management analysis capabilities along with the necessary support and training for UK researchers working in the life sciences. This is taking place in March the 11th. We'll look to get the event page organized shortly so that we can share that. That'll be shared across the various DCC marketing channels and social media on our LinkedIn page, Blue Sky, and Twitter or X, as well as our newsletter as well. So I'd just like to take this time to say a big thank you to Keris as well. Thank you for presenting on PSDI, a very informative piece as well. We do a lot of work with PSDI as one of the partners. We're grateful for you to attend today and to give us some more information about that. And thank you to Sophie Robson as well for providing some more information on UKRI as well. A bit more about our channels at the DCC. So we have our Twitter, LinkedIn, and Blue Sky profiles there. We've also got a link to our DC Associates mailing list as well. So that's if you're interested in learning anything more about us, our services, and the webinars that we host as well. So it's a good mailing list to be a part of, but I would say that, I guess. Thank you very much for attending today. Thank you to our speakers. And I think at this point, unless there are any other questions, we'll look to close.
Good. Thanks very much for that, Karis. That was perfect. I think it was great to get that kind of holistic